Good evening. My name is Leah Trujillo, and my presentation is on Legionnaire's disease. So, Legionnaire's disease is a severe form of pneumonia, which is lung inflammation caused by infection, and there are two types possible. First, there's the Pontiac fever, which is an illness that resembles the flu, and it usually goes away on its own. Legionnaire's disease is a much more serious illness. It requires treatment, otherwise it will be fatal. The causative agent is Legionella pneumophila, and the characteristics of this agent are it is a thin, aerobic, pleomorphic, flagellated, non-spore-forming, gram-negative bacterium. And its genus is obviously Legionella. Signs and symptoms. Legionnaire's disease symptoms develop 2 to 10 days after first exposure to bacteria, and it begins with headache, muscle pain, chills, fever that might be 104 or higher, and then by the second or third day it devolves into more serious symptoms, such as a cough, which like a great, awful, hacking cough that brings up mucus and maybe blood, shortness of breath, chest pain, gastrointestinal symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, confusion, and lack of clear thinking. So because when you're coughing so much and vomiting so much, you're losing a lot of fluid, and so it messes with your head as well. Legionnaire's disease usually affects the lungs, but occasionally causes further complications. And I didn't put this on the slides, but the further complications that it can cause are respiratory failure, septic shock, and acute kidney failure. So really serious things, which is why you need to be hospitalized if you have Legionnaire's disease. On the other side, Pontiac fever produces fever, chills, headache, muscle aches only, and these symptoms go away by themselves within 2 to 5 days. Pontiac fever doesn't infect your lungs, and that is the reason why it is important to distinguish Pontiac fever and Legionnaire's disease, because it's the hallmark of Legionnaire's disease for it to go to the lungs, and Pontiac fever doesn't go to the lungs at all. Diagnosis. Legionnaire's disease can only be identified by specialized lab tests. So there are 4 different methods: culture media, direct fluorescent antibody testing, different antibody testing, urinary antigen testing. So the Legionella bacterium responds to culture media. It's fed by it. It's given nutrients by it. So the way you test it is you take some sputum, which is mucus and saliva that a person with a lung disease coughs up. So you take some of that and you put it in the culture media, and the bacterium will grow, and then you can test it. And then direct fluorescent antibody testing is when you stain the bacterium, and then you put it under a fluorescent microscope, and it shows up. You can see it. My understanding with antibody testing is that it's a blood test, and the antibodies that react to Legionella bacteria show up, so you can see that the bacterium has been in the body recently. And then urinary antigen testing is a urine test, so pretty self-explanatory. Transmission. Legionnaire's disease is not able to be transmitted from person to person at all. So it's different from SARS and the flu in this regard, because for SARS and the flu, the air between you and the next person is like the bridge for all the germs, and you're going to get sick and they're going to get sick. Like it's very, very easy to spread. Every cough, every sneeze, very easy. That's not the case for Legionnaire's disease. So no special precautions are necessary. You don't have to wear a mask. That's not how it works. It is transmitted instead through water. So there are three forms or modes of transmission. One is, what's that called? It's called aerosolized. Sorry, I just can't remember the word. The first mode is aerosolized mode of transmission, which is tiny water particles in the air, so water in the air that you breathe into your lungs. The second is aspiration, which is when you are drinking water and you cough or choke and so water gets into your lungs. And the third is through soil. So there's been a few very distinct cases, not very many at all, is my understanding, where Legionella bacteria was in the soil, and so the few people who were like working in the garden or around potting soil got it. It was previously understood early on in the study of Legionnaire's disease that aerosolization was the primary form of mode of transportation, but new data shows that aspiration is the most often used form of transmission, or most often occurring form of transmission. Treatment. There is no vaccine. However, numerous antibiotics have been found to be highly effective in getting rid of Legionella, so that's good. The two strongest classes of antibiotics are macrolides, like quinolones. Other effective agents, tetracycline, doxycycline, minocycline, trimethoprim, and that very long word at the bottom that I've tried to say never works that well, but you can all read it. It's there. Where does Legionella bacteria lurk? Or where is it hiding? Water distribution systems for large buildings, particularly hotels and hospitals. Cooling towers, for a while, were thought to be reservoirs as well, but they're thinking that's not the case as much anymore. Mist machines, humidifiers, whirlpool spas, and hot springs. There's a picture here of people enjoying themselves in a hot tub. Hopefully there's no Legionella bacteria in there. It would be rather ironic if they were getting infected as they sat there smiling. History and recent outbreaks in Wisconsin. The first reported outbreak was in 1976 in Philadelphia during a Legionnaire's convention at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel, which is where Legionnaire's disease gets its name from, because it was going on during the American Legion Convention. And it was previously thought that the air conditioning vents held the Legionella bacteria, and that's what got the people sick, but new data suggests that it was the water in the hotel. So there you have that. The largest outbreak was in 2001 in Murcia, Spain, with 449 confirmed cases and 6 fatalities. However, it is suspected that there were actually more than 800 cases. And last, there is right now an outbreak in Madison, Wisconsin, with one article on Thursday night said 4 cases, and then one, I think, Friday night said 5 cases. So 4 there, but 4 or 5 cases. And 1 fatality confirmed as of Sunday. So that is my presentation. Thank you.